There's a moment that happens in silence. You're sitting across from someone, and they're smiling, and their words are kind. But something inside you tightens. Not fear exactly. Something older. Something that whispers you're being played. And you don't know the rules. Machiavelli spent his life studying that moment. Not because he was evil, but because he refused to lie about what he saw. He looked at human beings the way a surgeon looks at a body, without romance, without mercy. And he wrote down the truth that no one wanted to hear. We are not who we pretend to be. And the people we trust most are often the ones wearing the most convincing masks. Let me ask you something. When was the last time someone did you a favor without being asked? Think about it. They brought you coffee. They remembered something small about you. They made you feel seen. It felt good, didn't it? But here's what Machiavelli understood that you don't. That favor wasn't free. It was an investment. Because weeks later, maybe months, they're going to ask you for something. And when they do, you won't even think about saying no. You'll feel it in your chest, that pull, that quiet obligation. You owe them, not legally, not even morally, but psychologically. They planted something in you, and now it's growing. That's reciprocity. And it's one of the oldest weapons in human history. You think you're making free choices, but you're not. You're responding to debts you didn't know you signed. Now go deeper. Imagine you walk into a room and someone gives you two options. Option A or option B. You think about it. You weigh them. You choose. You feel smart, autonomous. But what you don't see is that there was a third option. There was always a third option. They just didn't show it to you. Maybe it was cheaper. Maybe it was easier. Maybe it gave you more freedom. But they removed it before you even entered the room. So now your choice isn't really a choice at all. It's a performance. And you're the actor who doesn't know they're on stage. Machiavelli called this the illusion of control. Give people two doors. Let them pick one, and they'll never ask why there were only two doors to begin with. This isn't just manipulation. It's architecture. And it's everywhere. In your relationships, in your workplace, in every conversation where someone asks if you want to do something now or later, but never asks if you want to do it at all. But let's talk about the weapon that cuts deepest. Guilt. Not the guilt you earn. The guilt someone gives you. Picture this. You say no to someone. A clean number, a reasonable number. You're tired. You have boundaries. You're protecting yourself. And they don't argue. They don't fight. They just go quiet. Or they sigh. Or they say it's fine in a voice that says it's not fine. And suddenly your number doesn't feel reasonable anymore. It feels violent. Like you've abandoned them. Like you're selfish. That shift, that tiny emotional earthquake, that's the goal. Because now you're not thinking about what you need. You're thinking about their disappointment. And disappointment is heavier than your exhaustion. So you give in. You say yes. Not because you want to, but because the alternative feels like cruelty. Machiavelli would recognize this immediately. Guilt is control without force. It's the knife that doesn't leave a scar you can see. Here's where it gets uncomfortable. One of the most effective tools of influence is vulnerability. But not real vulnerability. Performed vulnerability. Someone opens up to you. They share something painful. They cry. They let you see them at their lowest. And in that moment, you feel chosen, trusted, connected. Your guard drops completely. And now they have something more valuable than your obedience. They have your loyalty. Because walking away from someone who trusted you feels like betrayal. Machiavelli wrote that everyone sees what you appear to be, but few experience what you really are. He understood that appearance is strategy, and vulnerability, when used correctly, is the most disarming appearance of all. I'm not saying every act of openness is manipulation, but I am saying that some people have learned, consciously or not, that showing weakness gets them what strength cannot. And once you see this, you'll start noticing it everywhere. The friend who only calls when they need something, but always frames it as needing your advice. The partner who shares their trauma early, binding you to them with the weight of their pain. The coworker who lets you see them struggle just enough that you feel guilty not helping. It's genius. It's invisible. And it works. So let me ask you the question you've been avoiding. Do you do this too? Not consciously, not with malice, but do you? Think about the last time you did someone a small favor knowing you'd need them later. Think about the last time you gave someone two bad options so your preference seemed reasonable. Think about the last time you stayed silent just long enough to make someone uncomfortable. Think about the last time you shared something personal and noticed how it changed the way they treated you. You didn't plan it. You didn't scheme. But some part of you, some deep and ancient part, understood the game. Because this isn't something Machiavelli invented. It's something he observed. Human beings have always been this way. We're social creatures, and social creatures need tools to survive. Influence is a tool. Guilt is a tool. Charm is a tool. And you've been using them since you were a child, watching the adults around you, learning what works, what gets rewarded, what keeps you safe. Machiavelli didn't corrupt humanity. He just stopped pretending we were angels. Now here's the part that should terrify you. If all of this is true, if manipulation is woven into the fabric of human interaction, then how much of what you believe about yourself is real? How many of your opinions were planted by someone who knew which words to use? How many of your desires are actually yours? Every advertisement you've ever seen was designed to make you want something you didn't need. Every political speech you've ever heard was crafted to make you afraid of the right enemy. Every compliment you've ever received could have been strategy. And every time you think you've made a free choice, you have to ask yourself, was it free? Or was it just the only choice I was allowed to see? This is the horror Machiavelli uncovered. Not that people are evil, but that they're predictable. That if you understand the machinery of the mind, you can operate it. And once you realize your machinery too, the question becomes, who's been operating you? But here's the thing no one tells you about waking up. Once you see the game, you can't unsee it. Every smile becomes a question mark. Every favor comes with invisible strings. Every moment of connection could be performance. You start watching people the way Machiavelli did, not with trust, but with analysis. And that awareness is both power and prison. Because now you have a choice. You can keep playing. You can use these tools yourself, consciously, strategically, the way the people around you already do. Or you can stop. You can choose honesty, real vulnerability, real connection. But that's the hardest thing in the world. Because real vulnerability has no strategy, no insurance, no guarantee. Real vulnerability means saying what you mean and risking rejection. It means asking for what you need and accepting the no. It means showing your weakness without knowing if it'll be used against you. And in a world where everyone else is playing the game, choosing not to play makes you the easiest target. So what do? Do you become Machiavelli's prince, cold and calculating and effective? Do you master the dark psychology until you can move through the world untouched and untouchable? Or do you become the opposite? Raw and open and real, even though it might destroy you? Maybe the answer is neither. Maybe the answer is awareness. You watch the game. You see the moves. You understand the strategies people use on you and the strategies you use on them. And then, in each moment, you choose. Sometimes you play. Sometimes you don't. But you're never asleep again. You're never blindly trusting or blindly manipulating. You're awake. And being awake in a world of sleepwalkers is its own kind of loneliness. But it's also its own kind of freedom. Tomorrow, watch yourself. Not them. You. Notice when you laugh too long at someone's joke because you want them to like you. Notice when you agree with something you don't believe because disagreeing feels dangerous. Notice when you soften your words, when you guilt, when you charm, when you perform. And ask yourself, in this moment, am I being real? Or am I being strategic? There's no judgment in the question, just awareness. Because Machiavelli's lesson was never about becoming a monster. It was about seeing clearly, about recognizing that the same tools that hurt you are the tools you use. The same masks that deceive you are the masks you wear. And maybe, just maybe, if enough of us see it, we can choose something different. Not naivety, not blind trust, but conscious connection, the kind that says, I see the game, and I'm choosing not to play it with you. Not because I'm weak, but because I'm awake. Machiavelli once wrote, "It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both." But maybe he was wrong. Maybe the bravest thing you can do in a world of masks is to take yours off first. Not because it's safe, but because it's true. If this made you think deeply, make sure you like this video, share it, and subscribe for more.